Hey everybody, it's Chris with the Meeples Market. We're going to be doing our first review of a game on the channel. This is going to be for Dropping Veez, and this is from Sock Games. We were sent a copy of this for review. Sent a copy in exchange for a review, just to make that clear up front. Let's get into some Dropping Veez right here. Box says it's a fast-paced, dexterity-based 1 to 2 player card battling game. So you can play this solo or with 2 players. And this right here is the entire game. We've got 2 booklets. There's the rules booklet and then a sample turn and boss rules booklet. So the bosses are, if you're playing single player, you'll use the bosses. Otherwise, you'll just use the regular rules. The rule book is, on their YouTube channel, they have a rules explanation video which teaches you the game. I did read through the rule book though, and it does a great job of teaching the game just like the video does. So as far as the rule books go, everything's clear. I didn't have any questions. It's a pretty simple and straightforward game, but I think they do a good job of explaining everything and providing examples. So let's get into the actual game itself. When you open up your game, you're going to have this drop height card, and then you'll have this other card that's like a little room. The drop height card has a dotted line down the center. You want to cut that dotted line. I know it's weird. You open up a game and the first thing you do is cut the card in half. But you do that, and then we stick it on here. It's a little finicky. I think I should probably cut like a slit in this bottom card maybe, but there you go. So it makes this little tower. The drop height is the top of this card, and you're going to set that on the table. Just like so. All that does is let you know how high you need to hold your card to drop it when you're playing the game, which I'll explain in a minute. Then we've got character cards. They look like this. They have an illustration in the middle, and then there's going to be colors around the borders. So those are the characters. We've also got these Hello My Name Is cards. Those are the different bosses if you're playing the single player version that has their actions and their health on there. I'm not reviewing the single player version. I've only been playing this with 2 players. I read through the rules though. It seems like it's the same thing as if you were playing another person, just without that other person. So the experience I think is just as good. And then we'll also have drop cards. They're literally just cards that say drop card on them. So in the 2-player game, you'll give each player 2 of those drop cards, and then each player will pick a character. So we'll say Allie the Bee and Raymond the Eagle. On the top left corner of those cards, it gives you a health value. So Allie the Bee's got 14, so you would take this 14 health card here. Raymond the Eagle has 12, so you'll take that, and then you'll just take any 2 cards that aren't being used, and you'll use them to cover up the health cards as you lose health. So we'll set those down. Boom. And so the way the game's played is each player takes turns dropping 2 cards, and I'm just going to say the game is called Dropping Veez. Alright, when I first read it, I had no idea what that meant. Honestly, I hate the game for making me feel like an old person, because I think this is the first time in my life when I read something and I was like, Dropping Veez, this sounds like some hip, like some new thing that I don't know about. Like what's a Veez? Like why are the kids saying dropping Veez? What are Veez exactly? How are we dropping them and why? And I was kind of turned off by it. But I digress. I'm going to tell you right now what Dropping Veez actually is. Veez, the letter V, you see these 2 cards put together like so? They make a V shape. Okay, so you're making V's, and to make the V's, you're dropping these cards. So you're dropping these. Has nothing to do with hipsters or kids or pop, I don't know, slang. Or maybe it does, And like that makes this even worse. And I'm just like, oh yeah, it's right. It's just dropping V's. And then somewhere in the corner is some little kid, and he's like, it's actually this. But anyways, so dropping V's. What you're gonna do is, like I said, the character cards have these little colors on the edges. There's blue, green, yellow, red, and then there's little white lines like borders to each of those blocks. So you have to take your card, you'll put it on top of your character card, you'll raise it up above the drop height of that card, and then you're gonna like drop and spin the card as you drop it. The goal here is to drop the card so that it lands and creates a V shape with these two black edges of the card, like that. A little bit higher. So you want the V shape to just be showing the color, and the different colors mean different things. So like if it's just showing the blue color, that means you'll do the effect of that attack, and then immediately you get to do another drop. If it shows blue and green or just green, then it just means a success. So for example, the sting ability on this V, if I get my V to drop and it just shows this blue inside of that V, it's going to deal 2 damage to the other character immediately, so you would slide this 2 points over, and then I would get to take my cards and do another drop. I could drop on sting again, and let's say that this time it wasn't just blue that was inside the V, it was blue and red. That means that my attack is successful, but my opponent then has an opportunity to defend. And the way you defend is the same way. You're going to take your cards and drop them. It's just some abilities have a little shield icon in the corner, and that means they can be defended. There's also like a parry icon. But if they defend it, then they can block the damage, or they can block half of the damage depending on if you land in like green defense or yellow defense. So that's that. So let's say I did sting, this person dropped on their defensive, and their V was inside of the yellow, then it would half my sting from 2 damage to 1 damage, and you'd slide the health down. After you do that, it's then the other player's turn. They're going to take their cards, raise it above the thing, drop it, boom, drop it, and that's the game. You play that back and forth until you lower the character's health to 0, and then you're going to reset and you play again. You play the best of 3. So the first player to win 2 games will be the winner of that set. That's literally the game. If you ever drop your cards and it's not just showing the little colored block or the white, like the white barriers on the side are showing, then it's just a miss. So I'll tell you right now, your first lots of drops are going to be misses. At least mine were. Lynn and I have played this a few times, and it started out bad. It started out a lot like this. Okay, go. Lynn goes, drop, drop, no, nothing, go. And it was just a lot of back and forth of nothing happening. Just drop, drop, go. Drop, drop, go. Until eventually, I'm not saying we're not good. We're not good by any means. But eventually, we got to a point where we could sometimes land our cards in the V formation and actually get off attacks. Or do what you're trying to do. And that was cool. That felt good. Outside of that, there's not a lot to say as far as what you're doing in the game. So the review portion. I'll put a timestamp here. You're going to know it anyways, but there's a timestamp. You can just jump straight to the review part if you don't want to hear me rambling. Out of 10. If I was rating the game out of 10, as a game itself, I would say 5, 5.5. That's not to say the game's bad. For me, for my rating system that I'm going off right now, a 5 is the baseline for a game. So that if I rate a game a 5, that's like the basis of what a game needs to be for it to even come to the table. Once you get below a 5, were varying degrees of it's not a good game down to I don't like the person that made this because it's horrendously not fun. Obviously, all of that is my opinion either way. But so I'm going to give this a 5. And initially, my 5 rating was based off of, I believe the MSRP for this is like $17. I'll check right here. I have it pulled up on their website. You actually order this through TheGameCrafter if you're not familiar with TheGameCrafter. Let's see, Dropping Veez. All right. So the price for Dropping Veez is $17.99. So $18 gets you the box and I think like 31 cards. And then all you're doing is picking up the cards and dropping it and making V's. I'll say that I'm not the dexterity dropping card type of game. It's not my style. I'm not the target person, but I can appreciate the design that went into this. Like when you take into account what components are being used, which is a few cards, it's cool. It's fun. It's a game if someone asked me to play it. If you told me you want to play the game, I'll say okay. It's not a game that I'd probably ever say, hey, let's play Dropping Veez. It's just not my thing. So I'm not going to ask anyone to play it with me, but I would have no issue with playing it if this was a game that somebody else really liked. So take that as you will. What I was saying about the price of $17.99 being kind of high for what you get, that was until I realized that all proceeds from this go to animal shelters apparently. So if you look at it that way, if you want to donate $18 to an animal shelter, you're getting a sweet little 1 to 2 player dexterity card game that I've not played anything like included. If this was just a game, you know, if the donation thing wasn't part of it, I wouldn't want to pay $17.99 for this. I feel like for my money, I can get a lot more game out of other things, or have a lot more fun. So for me to buy this, not counting any donations or anything to animal shelters, and feel like I got my money's worth, I would say like $5.99 would make me happy for what I'm doing here. Yeah, that's that. The art's pretty cool. It's kind of weird. Like there's a cat, there's a teddy bear. It's like it's not like spooky, but it's kind of like stuff you'd see, I don't know, in like probably some like weird old Adult Swim cartoon or something where there's like weird critters and creatures and like their eyeballs are misshapen and they're like the bear's like stuffing's coming out and they're just like that's the vibe it gives me. Lynn wasn't really a fan of the art, but the game itself, it's cool. It's interesting. It's just not really for me. So if you do want to pick up Dropping Veez, you can head over to the GameCrafter, Dropping Veez. I'll have a link down below, and you can go ahead and buy that for $17.99. And if you happen to be watching this now, when the video is first released in the first week, we are going to be doing a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away our review copy, and then we also were given a second copy that we can go ahead and put in through a giveaway too. So we'll be giving away 2 copies of Dropping Veez. Check out the Instagram for a post where we'll have more instructions of how you can get in on that. Dropping Veez, 5 out of 10 for me. If the price was lower, it would be a little bit higher, but not too much. It's a super simple game. I think for what it sets out to do, it does it good. For me personally, though, I would rather play some of my other games with my limited game time. So thanks so much for tuning in. Feel free to leave any feedback down in the comments. Love to hear from you. You can like, subscribe, check us out over on Instagram, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.